Smooth 98.1 here. We are gone past 6:30 for a Thursday morning. This is Business Express on Smooth Breakfast. I'm Sope Martins, and joining me for the next 15 minutes is Rotus to discuss what's going on in the world of business and those inflation figures that came out. Rotus, good morning.
Good morning, Shokwe. Good morning to all our listeners out there. Good to be with you all on a Thursday. Good to be with you all.
And good morning to you, YouTube, because we are streaming live on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. Find us, watch us, leave your comments up on the live stream, and come in and join the conversation. Also up on WhatsApp with this number, 0809-440-981. And of course on Twitter, where we are at Smooth981FM, and Rotus is at Rotancode. Tag us and let us know what you think up on Twitter as well. So lots to discuss, but I think first of all, let's talk about what's going on with those inflation figures. Every time I see them, I'm always like, wow, so low, because I know what like my personal, inflation in my community is. But so what exactly are those latest figures telling us, Roses?
And Shokwe, you hit exactly. When you say my own personal inflation, your own personal pockets, your communities, that's what everybody gauges these numbers against. 17.71% is what we're seeing year on year for May, according to the data that was released by the Bureau of Statistics yesterday. We saw it was 16.82% in April. So I mean, year on year, it's an 11-month high. So as far as what we're seeing with the pressure of diesel prices rising and how that has flowed through to transportation costs and then food. Those are the two main items that Nigerians spend their money on, food and transportation. And so that's why we're seeing these increases. But like you've said, I mean, if you compare what you pay for, food items and so on and so forth, if you look at where diesel is, it's risen by what, 200%? I mean, those increases are so large. So some are questioning whether it really is 17%. Maybe the baskets that the Bureau of Statistics uses to gauge prices rejigged, So
wait, what's in the basket? Can you tell us what's in the basket so that we can
you take a basket and you average out a number of different items. You've got food that makes up a significant portion of the basket. You've got energy, you've got fuel. Those are the main items and then there's also services, things that people pay for, but the main weights in the basket, food, fuel. So the thing is, it's been said this basket they haven't changed the content of it for years now, and it's like, okay, let us adjust. They're probably saying that the weightings in the basket need to be adjusted because it's the reality based on what we're seeing. But you can't put the entire weight on food and fuel. You can't do that. There's other items, other things that we all pay for left and right. So those are the things. I mean, look at flour. I think flour is up. I have to remember, it's double digits, and flour feeds into bread, right? And so,
of course,
a financial derivatives company limited, for example, Bismarck Rwani's company, is saying that bread prices could go from, 600 naira to maybe 900 or more. So how much of that basket looks at flour, for instance? So things like that.
Right. I started preparing myself for my gluten-free life.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, don't you worry about that.
Exactly. So it's a tough picture out there with respect to inflation.
Okay, now I know you've already talked about wheat, but generally food inflation, what are we seeing there?
That's up at, I think, 19.5% for food inflation. I think that's an 8-month high. I think the Bureau said bread, fish, oils, and so on and so forth. Look, with the issues with food, we all know the insecurity issues and how they're impacting farmers. I think what happened in the Southwest, I think I was in Ondo State, right? I think Ondo State, as far as what it contributes to the food basket, is it wheat? I'm trying to remember what it is. But as far as the farming activities in different parts of the country, when it comes to outputs, if you can't go out to farm because you're afraid for your life, your supply is going to go down. And when you reduce supply, prices go up. So there are major concerns as far as food insecurity is concerned in Nigeria. you look at about 45% of the population is below the poverty line. So that food metric, that's one of the main items that people look at, and it's a real problem.
Okay, food metrics. What kind of metrics, by the way, are we seeing, if we're seeing any, that show Nigeria is combating inflation in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, that's zero. Nothing. There's no. The only thing is to be.
What could we see? I'm really worried, because isn't inflation like the life killer at this point?
Exactly, it is. So if your purchasing power is going down because costs are rising, there has to be a subsequent rise in income in order to combat a reduction in purchasing power. So it's wages. The way that you combat inflation, at least on our side, for working people, is for wages to go up. So if you're earning more money, then you can offset that impact of higher prices. But unfortunately, wages in Nigeria have not been going up. I mean, when was the last time, depending on what sector you're in, though. So maybe the expats in oil and gas, or the big folks in advertising or stuff, maybe they're seeing, the big bankers or investment bankers, but generally spread across the economy, you are not seeing salary increases and, basic a higher pay. So that's the thing. And as long as that happens, you're going to see an impact on the blows just keep on coming as far as that impact is concerned. And I mean, even investments, the real rate of return now, if your income from your work, you're not bringing in money from your work, then you now have to look at your income, your passive income from your investments, whether you're invested in stocks or invested in bonds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The real rate of return, which is your interest that you earn subtracted by inflation, that's really going down. It's negative. So if you're getting, I don't know anybody, I don't know if anyone.
Basically, Rotus, we as a majority in the country are getting poorer.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's it.
Just putting it out there, because I have to tell you, I've never felt this poor in my life.
It's pretty bad. I'm in the same boat with you. Especially when I go out to a supermarket to buy stuff and I think of how much, it's insane.
Rotus, now I close my eyes, because before I used to keep them wide open and just be in shock at what I was seeing, because you go like with 5 items and somehow they're like, oh, that's 20,000 naira, and you're confused. You're looking at them. What is this? Made out of gold? But it's not. It's something that you're now going to eat. And never before have I felt so annoyed at having to eat constantly every single day. Because I'm just like, it's disappearing. It's not like I'm a growing child,
Right.
It just disappears. It goes in and then out. I can't believe I had to say that on breakfast. But let's move on, because I think if we talk about inflation anymore, I'm going to. But then again, this next topic is not making me any happier, because let's talk about what the oil marketers are saying, because they're saying that diesel could rise to 1,000 or like 1,500 naira per liter over the next 2 weeks. First of all, is that really going to happen? Is that possible in any way, shape, or form? And if that does actually occur, what then?
So sometimes these guys tend to be a bit alarmist, right? So we got to take their comments into context. But in this particular, and that's why I say sometimes, in this particular case, he could be right. This is the gentleman that said this is I think it's the Natural Oil and Gas Suppliers Association, and it's their national president, Bennett Corrie, who I believe said this. So this is the thing, Sope. He says unless government steps in, that you could see diesel at 1,000. And I think diesel now is about 7. Diesel, again, as I said, up by over 200%. Yeah, they're buying it for, I think it's about 690, over 700 naira per liter from where it was less than 200 last year.
Yeah.
So the thing is, this is deregulated, Sope. It's not like PMS, petrol, where the government is subsidizing it. It's not subsidized, it's deregulated. So what are you asking the government to do?
That was the question. Isn't the whole point of diesel being regulated that you don't want the government to step in?
Right. So if unless he's asking for a subsidy, that is the only thing. Because in other countries, in America, Joe Biden released more oil into the markets to try to increase supply to bring back down fuel prices. In Kenya and South Africa, they tax fuel. When you go and buy fuel there's a tax. So they reduce the taxes on fuel. That's all they could do. I think other than that is to just subsidize this. So basically what he's saying is that government should come and subsidize diesel and do what they're doing with petrol in order to bring down prices. Now, to your second question, if diesel reaches 1,005 or to 1,005, in fact, funny enough, the Nairametrics article where that was written, my landlady sent that to me yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Sent it by WhatsApp, like, come, because they just sent a letter about 2 days ago saying that, listen, we have to regulate how we use the generator because diesel prices are so high. And you said this yesterday or the day before. I mean, it's happening across service apartments everywhere. If diesel reaches 1,000, 1,500, people stop buying diesel, and there'll be more blackouts. And I mean, coincidentally, I think the Electricity Regulatory Commission is saying that there will be more lights by July 1st.
By July 1st.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
It counts how many blackouts on one hand we've had in these first few months of the year.
Yeah.
No, we'll need two hands for that.
Exactly. You will need two hands. So I was going to say that if diesel gets that expensive, July, it's kind of interesting, the timing of this, because the oil markets have said in 2 weeks' time, you'll see diesel skyrocket. And then NERC now comes out just coincidentally and saying that in that 2 weeks, by July 1st, power supply will increase. So I don't know if you get what's going on here, but
convenience.
Yeah, if he's saying that, basically the government is saying that, don't worry, if diesel prices rise, you won't have to use your gen that much because there's more power supply. I
say rather convenience, considering the fact that even just where I am right now for the past week, it's been 7 days. It's been more than 7 days. No lights.
Yeah.
No
exactly.
Lights. Well, unless you call that 2 second, 5 minute lights that I get sometimes in 24 hours lights, then.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I mean, and how are they going to guarantee that there'll be more light when there hasn't been light for how long? So look, there's an election coming up, blah, blah, blah. We know the deal. You know how this stuff works.
All right, real quick, let me read out some of the messages that I'm seeing coming in. This one in from Benga Kamu. By the way, WhatsApp messages to 0809 440 981. Benga Kamu saying, as the government has not stepped in, why are the marketers bent on creating panic among the population? Rotus, my tired is tired already. That's what
the price is coming. They are facing higher. Look, there's a foreign exchange dynamic to this, and that is one of the main problems. The fact that, remember, this is all imported. So that FX dynamic, they are paying a lot of money and it's impacting it. So I don't know whether they want government to subsidize the FX rate for them or subsidize diesel. That's the issue right now.
All right, he's also saying, do you believe those electricity regulators? I don't. Didn't the World Bank say we need $100 billion to fix power?
Exactly.
And Ogene Ochuko says, inflation is worsened by the Ukraine war. Bread will be sold for 1,000 naira. Very unfortunate. By the way, didn't the different countries come out, didn't the US come out and say, oh, Russia has stolen grain from Ukraine and nobody should buy it? And they were talking to African countries.
Yeah, how? Well, Egypt is an importer of wheat, for example, so from Russia, Ukraine. So it's very tough to just say, don't buy from them. Where are we going to buy from? Unless you want to grow yourself.
If your people don't have access, you are going to do what you must for your responsibility to your people as a state to make sure that they are fed. So
exactly.
I don't know who they're talking to.
Exactly.
All right, and let's see, who else do we have? El Como says, electricity tariffs for some of the residential estates we provide our premium service to. Tariffs keep going up due to several factors. So he sent in a image, and he says that due to several factors, diesel prices and grid supply uptime. Electricity tariffs, that's he sent it in twice. And Gilbert Musa from Festac says, on diesel's likely increase, let's go back to the basics, fix the refineries in Nigeria. And final message I'll be reading before we end the show comes in from Benito, who says, well, this economic hellscape that the recent inflation is trending us into is real and pragmatic. And wow, what a note to end Business Expression.
Exactly.
Okay, Rotus, thank
you.
Tomorrow is Friday. Thank you. Go to business. Rotus Express. I expect some sort of innovative music to make me smile. Rotus,
I will try.
that to you.
I will try.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Till tomorrow, make sure you follow him. He is up on Twitter. He's up on Instagram as well. Same handle.
Yeah,
right?
same. Yeah, Rotan Code. Same
Codes.
thing. Yeah.
So go find him there. And of course, we are at Smooth 981F.